main things people want to know when they come in and do some training is basically, how do we pour latte art? How do the baristas do that? When I try at home, it's more a splat white than a flat white, right? It just looks a complete mess. It's either too foamy or too thin, but you can't get something consistent on top of your coffee. Let's go through some basics, and I really do mean basics, because I think anybody can pour latte art. We even go as far as to say, if you come on a course with us, we'll guarantee you heart on your coffee. We guarantee by the end of the course you'll be pouring a heart. First of all, you need to get your coffee shop right. So if you've got really watery, under-extracted coffee, it's going to be really hard to pour on top of it. If it's really over-extracted, it's going to be very, very dark, very sticky. Also makes it a little bit more tricky to get that nice blended, velvety latte combination that we want. So first of all, recommendation we make on all of our espresso is 18 grams of coffee, 36 gram yield, so that's what's left in the cup once it's extracted, and we want that extraction period, if we're being really specific, to be between 26 and 29 seconds. So once our espresso is pulling, we know we've got 30 seconds, it's a good time to do a milk. Ideal world, always start with an empty milk pitcher. When you're working in a busy coffee shop, realistically, that milk is going in, going in, going in, going in, going in, going out. But if you're at home and you're in a controlled environment and this is the one coffee you're going to have of the day, you know, control all of the variables you can. Have a nice, clean, empty milk pitcher. If you're drinking cow's milk, another mistake people make is they get nasty, thin, cheap milk. Get as high a fat content as you can. Stop pouring your milk before you reach the bottom of the nozzle, okay? If you start coming up the nozzle, or the spout, it's gonna spill out, it's gonna come over the edges of your jug. This is where most mistakes happen. It's in the texturizing of the milk, okay? It doesn't have to be hard, but what we wanna do is something that's consistent. One of the ways of achieving that consistency is using the spout to control where your steam wand is going. So placing your steam wand into the spout of your jug, and then we're going to turn it to one side. So I will always go clockwise a half turn. So the steam wand isn't pressed up against the wall of the jug. It's also not directed straight into the middle of the jug, so it's going to go down, hit the bottom of the jug, the hot air is going to come back out again. What we want to create is a vortex effect, so that the milk is going to swirl around the jug and it's going to be heated evenly. One way of doing that is to place the steam wand into the milk. There's a reservoir mark on most steam wands, so it's just that bottom nib. That's our reservoir mark. We're going to start to introduce our hot air. Hear that tearing sound? Allow that maybe 2 or 3 times, and then just plunge a tiny fraction deeper. Our right hand's then going to hold on to the milk jug, ow, until it's too hot to hold. You'll see in the bigger commercial coffee shops, they'll have a temperature gauge, they'll have a thermometer in their milk, and they're looking somewhere between 55 and 65 degrees Celsius. In a busy coffee shop, really you're just using your hand. When it's too hot to hold, that is actually around that mark. It's remarkable how accurate the too hot to hold method is. So okay, now next thing we do is swirl the milk. Swirl the milk every time. You're never going to have perfect milk as a consequence of just introducing hot air to it. By swirling the milk, we're trying to make sure that the milk at the top of the milk pitcher is the same consistency as the milk at the bottom. If there are any bubbles in it, just knock them out by knocking the milk pitcher on your table. And then hold it under the light. Is it reflecting the light? Can you see a little bit of a silky glistening in there? If it's a dull matte surface on it, you've probably got too much air in there. It's probably more sort of cappuccino type milk. But if it's holding the light nicely, if you're getting a nice glisten to it, if it looks quite silky, you're bang on. That's just a case of repeating until you get that consistent milk. Now, pour time. This is where it tends to go wrong, but let's do this as simply as possible. What we're going to do is pour until the cup is about 2/3 full, then we're going to stop, then we're going to slow the pour down and pour into the center of the cup until a white circle emerges, at which point we're just going to lift the distance between the milk jug and cut through, all in the same pour. I know that sounds complicated, it really isn't that bad. So let's pour into the cup, onto the espresso, till about 1/2 to 2/3 full. Now I'm going to pour into the center. Straight away this white circle is emerging. If I just cut through, nice and easy, we've got a heart. Anybody should be able to do that within 10, 15, 20 repetitions of practice, which we can easily do at a session here, and you go away pouring hearts. From that, we can add a couple of hearts. We've got ourselves a stacked tulip. We can go backwards and come through again. We've got a rosette, and we can start to play around, but we want to start with a latte-heart, and I can guarantee we can get anybody pouring these at the end of a session with us.